Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Emmanuel Crawford. I am a graduate at Goma University with a double major in largest political science and entrepreneur, and I'm waiting for the next opportunity. And I'll be your moderator for today's event. So, in the interest of time, we'll be starting. Can we please rise for the Canadian National Anthem? I will now be calling on Shalakwe Eitayo, who is an honor student studying business and plans to enter the financial field. He is an entrepreneur in the process of starting a business of his own. He is currently volunteering as a business development officer with Council of Nigerian Professionals. In his free time, he likes playing football and he's a Chelsea fan. And he'll be reading the land acknowledgement in English. Over to you, Salakwe.
Thank you. I'll be reading the land of an acknowledgement. In the spirit and intent of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendation, we acknowledge the traditional indigenous territories on which we gather at the beginning of all meetings. By learning, understanding, and acknowledging, we wish to pay respect to Turtle Island, Mother Earth, and to the rich indigenous history of Ontario. We recognize that our work takes place on traditional indigenous territories across Ontario. We also wish to acknowledge that the CNP head office is located on the traditional indigenous territory of the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the territory of Mississaugas of the Credit. This territory is part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty, an agreement between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. The territory is also covered by the Upper Canada treaties. We wish to express gratitude to Mother Earth and for the resources we are using, and honor to all the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people who have been living on the land since time immemorial.
Thank you, Shalakwe. I'll now be calling on Mr. Lemi Daeyola, who will be reading the land acknowledgement in French. He received his bachelor's, master's, and PhD in mechanical engineering. Since last year, besides his current engineering employment, he has transitioned to the financial service sector. He speaks a plethora of languages such as French, English, Spanish, 3 Senegalese languages, and a little bit of Mandarin. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the warm introduction. Merci pour l'introduction vraiment chaleureuse. Dans l'esprit et l'intention des recommandations de la Commission de vérité et de réconciliation, nous reconnaissons les territoires autochtones traditionnels sur lesquels nous nous réunissons au début de toutes les réunions du CNP. En apprenant, en comprenant et en reconnaissant, nous souhaitons rendre hommage à Turtle Island, terre-mère et à la riche histoire autochtone de l'Ontario. Nous reconnaissons que nos travaux se tiennent sur les territoires autochtones traditionnels de l'Ontario. Nous tenons également à souligner que le siège social de CNP est situé sur le territoire autochtone traditionnel des Iron-Wendat, des Haudenosaunee et plus récemment sur le territoire des Mississauga de Crédit. Ce territoire fait partie du traité Dish with One Spoon, un accord entre les Anishinaabe, les Haudenosaunee et les Nations alliées, et ce, pour partager et entretenir pacifiquement les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Ce territoire est également couvert par les traités du Haut-Canada. Nous souhaitons exprimer notre gratitude à la terre-mère et pour les ressources que nous utilisons, et honorer tous les peuples des Premières Nations, Métis et Inuits, qui vivent sur les terres depuis des temps immémoriaux. Merci.
Thank you so much. Right here is our agenda. So we've already went through the Canada, the land acknowledgements. Next, we'll be going on to Ms. Patience Eyase, who will be talking to us more about who we are. Ms. Patience is the Vice President of Council of Nigerian Professionals. She's an Assistant Branch Manager with TD Canada Trust, a leader and community coach. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction. And again, once again, thank everybody for being here. It's a beautiful weather out there, but we chose to be here. We do appreciate you. We are gathered under the auspices of Council of Nigerian Professionals. So it will be nice and great for us to let everybody know who we are. Council of Nigerian Professionals have their goal, which is to equip and support Nigerian professionals in particular and people of African heritage in general towards sustainable growth and development and prosperity in Canada. We achieve this by supporting holistic development of individuals, marriages, and families. We provide support to new immigrants and international students. We also foster better integration and understand the Canadian multiculturalism and interfaith. We provide programs that enhance our children and youth. We do this by various methods, like events, having one-on-one coach and mentoring, etc. We also network to build professional relationships. As I mentioned earlier on, we mentor. We have a platform and avenue for information in our community. We showcase role models for youth and children, social, professional, economic, and political empowerment in Canada. We also as well support local businesses, which you will see as we go on shouting our corporate members. Now, in 2020, we gave 1,100 in bursaries to 4 youths that participated in our Black History Month contest last year, 2020. We donated 750 to faith-based communities during the pandemic. We also hosted 25 events. You can imagine during the pandemic, we were still able to come together and host 25 events to support and encourage our community. We connected with over 250 general members over the phone. We provided over 600 families with raw foodstuff during COVID-19. We also provided 250 children with school supplies, PPE to community members. We had an event for the first time in Calgary, Alberta, Ottawa, and Ontario. 2020 in review. All I've said now, this is the picture view of what I said 2 minutes ago. These are the renowned speakers that came. In 2020, we had branding, interview skills. We had everything you could think of when it comes to developing our community. You can see the backpacks there. Those are part of the gifts that we gave out to the children that were going back to school last year. Now in 2021, so far, we've had counting over, I'm very sure, over 15 events already this year and more still coming on. We had our Black History Month in February, which was grand. We have 3 winners. Funny enough, all of them are planning to become medical doctors. We went ahead and matched them up with medical doctors who's mentoring them for 1 whole year. We gave all our 3 winners a total of $1,000. And again, we had our maiden edition of our leadership series in March, had our town hall in April, started CNP programming in May 2021. CNP language school currently going on right now. We started as far back as June, and it's going to go on for 3 months. Our mentoring program, the same thing, started running in May. It's going to go run for 3 months. Our leadership series is ongoing. Our newcomer series, Land and Tribe, is ongoing. CNP Language School, the bars, is ongoing. We also have our summer break programs. We're going to give you more information on and details on this programming as the event rolls on. This was one of our events where we had this plethora of wonderful, amazing humans here with us. So for events in July and beyond, we have our CNP languages, I've said. We have Igbo, Yoruba, French, Mandarin for 3 months. Started running in June, it's still running. The Igbo and the Mandarin comes up on Saturdays, while the French Monday, Yoruba Wednesday. If you need more information, type in our chat box and we'll send you the links. We have coding just started last week, Thursday, for 8 weeks. Tales by Moonlight, that commences tomorrow. I'll give you more information with that. That is an event with Baba Williams that you don't want to miss. We have our CNP again, newcomer series, Land and Tribe. CNP Living and Life and Living series, which is part of what we are here for today. And of course, our leadership series. Next slide, please. Okay, so now that is much about what CNP has done and is doing. We are in the business of not just talking the talk, but we actually do walk the walk. We are going to the segment where we are going to discuss the business for today, which is to share and listen to someone that I know. By the time we're done, we'll appreciate the next 1 hour that we're going to hear and learn. Dr. Oye Abioye is a seasoned educator at post-secondary institutions, having taught a good blend of accounting, business, and finance courses spanning over 16 years. He's an astute academician and business expert with cognitive professional experience in the areas of corporate management and efficiency. He is well-versed and highly experienced in performance management techniques, management planning, and control of business operations. He also functions in service-oriented entities. He's a researcher with keen interest in railway transport and key performance indicators in the transport service. He is a business professional, mentor, and a coach that combines teaching with humor when it comes to learners. He is also a management consultant with the focus of professional practice in corporate governance, behavioral finance, personal finance, corporate finance, in public service. I can't wait to hear what he's going to unload on us today. Please join me to welcome Dr. Oye Abioye to take the digital mic.
Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say again. Anyway, let's go to the business of the day. All right, can we see the first the topic, please? Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show the slide from my end. Yeah, so this is a topic we will be looking at. It's a discussion exercise. I want us, because I know the face I'm looking on the chart here, they're all gurus in the banking sector, only the academician. That's all I do. But so we'll go by the books, but they do by practice. So I'll be learning, also taking their point of view as well as we go along. This is the way it appears to me, and I believe there will be another way it appears to them as well. So if I say something which goes, maybe it goes in contrast to what you have in mind, you can say, hey, oh yeah, I think you're lying here. This is the road through. Don't tell me, okay? Say, oh yeah, you're a liar. I don't lie too much, but so that's what we hear. Anyway, so this is what we'll be looking at. We'll look at what's financial planning. We'll be assessing, managing, and securing. We're talking about, how do you assess, manage, secure credit. We'll talk about investment fundamentals and some of the techniques. Now, everything, the first three here, will be going towards the personal income tax concepts, because when we talk about investment. The idea is, I've seen people who have heard people said, well, I asked them, why do you do RSP? Oh, if I'm doing RSP, I can get a huge tax refund. Yeah, that's a good reason, but it may not necessarily be the best reason. The best reason, the reason why you're doing RSP today is for the future. So you don't want to make the decision today that you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot in future. So we're looking at some of the investments, that the basket of investment portfolios that are there, the vehicles that are there, and then what are the implications to you in some years to come. So so part of the thing which I plan to do really is to show you tax software with the DT Max. It's the software used by H&R Block. I'm sure you're aware of H&R Block, but just to show to you, if you make one decision here, how does it affect your tax refund, and also how does it affect you in future times. So, but if I'm able to do that, we'll do it. Otherwise, I'll just talk over it and we'll leave it like that. Equally, we talk about estate planning, and then estate planning. Why do we need to do it? Here we're talking about wills, and I'm sure in African ideology or culture, they don't believe in writing wills. But is it important? Do we need it? Definitely, we do need it. But majority of us, who are, it's a foreign land, those words, why do I have to write a will? It's against my culture, against my religion. But no, where you are, you need a will. Otherwise, it costs you more, and your estate will rather be at a disadvantage if you die intestate, they call it. All right. So basically, that's what we're gonna look at. Take questions thereafter. As we go along, by all means, if you have questions as we go, please do ask me questions, and I'll be glad to stop by and answer the questions as we go along. So in a nutshell, when we talk about financial plan, these are the things that we'll be looking at. Look, how do we budget? Now, from the topic, it says personal finance. So when I say personal finance, I'm looking at you and I. So everything that you do that affects you, and everything that I do that affects me as an individual. So in essence, I'm looking at us personally as the business. So we run our lives as a business. So don't think you do budgets only in companies. No, everybody must do it, should do it, and actually should have it as part of our daily habit to plan and do budgets. Okay, so look at budgeting and tax planning. How do we finance our purchases, and why do we need to do that? Equally, we look at protecting our assets and also income. So when you say you're protecting your asset, typically what are you saying? Saying, what? When it comes to asset, of course, you insure, take your home insurance, take your auto insurance, so in case if there's any fire and theft or accident, whatever, it's protected. Income protection, you as an individual, if you fall sick, for example, I know the WFG of this world will tell you these are the things you can do to protect those income by buying maybe they call it I forgot, but I tell you what it is. Okay, to protect your income. Also, we talk about investing your money. So when you invest your money, what are some of the vehicles you can invest your money, and what are some of the reasons why you want to do it that way? And again, when we're doing investing your money, we look at three particular aspect factors. The first one is looking at your risk tolerance. When it says risk tolerance, are you the type who is able to take risk? Okay, so say risk seeker, or you can be a risk indifferent. So which means not that you're totally averse, you don't want risk, but if there is a certainty that this particular investment will give you benefit or good return, you go for it. So, and if you know that it's not you're going to be, okay, maybe I'm not. So we call them risk indifference. And then the third type of risk attitude would be risk averse, meaning you don't want to take risk at all. Okay. And then I also have a kind of matrix, between the risk, the attitude, and also the types of investment portfolio you can use, which matches those particular risk attitudes. So look at that. And also plan for retirement. Next slide, please. All right. So let's start with financial planning. When we say financial planning, so what is personal finance? So here we're looking at the process of planning your spending. Do I need to plan my spending? Yes, you do. Financing, okay, all the buying of stuff, and also investing activities. All these put together, again, considering your uncontrollable factors, particularly when it comes to death. Death is uncontrollable. It's going to happen. When it's going to happen, that's when we don't know. That's why we need to take into cognizance of all this, and then put where our mouth, put our money where our mouth is, so that we do not make wrong decisions. Equally, based on that, we'll talk about financial plan. So in financial plan, therefore, it's like any other plan. Okay, we say a plan is a predetermined course of action to achieve a particular goal, but difficult, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So in this case, we're looking at financial goal. What exactly are we trying to achieve? Not now, but in future, okay? Or we can even segment those goals into short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So these are all particular goals that we will be looking at on a daily basis over a longer period of time. So look at that. Equally, along the line of all those different type of goals we set, the spending will have to come in, and I'll show you some of the factors later on. Then financing those particular goals that we have at the end of the day, okay, equally investing it. Putting all this together, the whole idea of all this, so that at the end of the day, we make something we call informed decision. Knowledge is key, knowledge is power. It's not an understatement. We cannot overemphasize this, but if you're able to put this into perspective, then definitely you know how to take opportunities, and also how to maximize the decisions, the benefits out there. So opportunity costs, so what do you give up? These are things that we have to play out. Why are we doing all this? Because we know money is normally scarce. And because of that, we have to, plan it such a way that we get maximum benefit at the end of the day. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So when we think about financing our purchases or our activities, one thing we want to bear in mind is how liquid are you? And that's one of the bankers of this world. That's typically what they look out for. How liquid are you? All right. So which means your access to ready cash, including savings, credit, or to cover the short-term or unexpected expenses. Now, even though we'll talk about liquidity, some people think credit card is part of their liquidity. And I tell them, sorry, it's not. And if you want to use credit card, don't use it as an emergency. If you want to use your credit card, use it in such a way that you will maximize the benefit. And I will talk to, if I have some students on the chat, this particular aspect will definitely, help you in managing your financing or your finances, as I will put it, because some people don't think when they see something, they don't have money, they think credit card is emergency use, they can use it quickly. But forget the fact that when you use your credit card, it costs you more, in the purchases. I, for a fact, will not go to a restaurant and then slap the bill on my credit card because it will cost me more. I'd rather pay cash for that, and so I can give them tip, so there's no interest on that. But I can use my credit card to pay my tuition, because I know I can claim that on my tax return, and I'll get some more. I'll show you that later on, so you see what I'm talking about. Money management. So these are decisions regarding how money is retained in liquid form, and how you can also liquid form among short-term investment instrument. Again, this depends on our attitude to risk and our goals. Next slide, please. Okay, so I talked about emergency fund, So imagine that's a portion of savings that you are allocated to short term, such as unexpected expenses, in order to maintain adequate liquidity. There are different vehicles you can use for this. One of it is TSFA. So TSFA is a tax-free savings account. It's a very good vehicle. That's where you put your savings, and the reason for that is because it gives you more interest than the regular savings account. And again, any interest earned on that on TSFA is tax-free. You don't pay tax on it. The reason for that is because it's deemed that the money invested in TSFAs are from taxed income, so therefore it will not be taxed again. However, if you put that same money in savings account and you generate interest in that income, you will be paying tax on that interest at the end of the year. So that's the difference. You understand? That's the difference. So when you talk about emergency fund, TSFA would be a good way. And that's what I'm saying. You should not ever use your credit cards as emergency fund, because it's not. Why? Because you'll be paying interest on that as well. Particularly, they know you're not gonna be disciplined enough to pay the amount, the full amount, when they send you the bill. At the end of the day, you say, you know what, maybe that's a small amount, I'll pay. It rose to the next month, it rose to the month, and then guess what? Interest start gathering. And before you know what's going on, 500 becomes 1,000, 10,000, and it becomes humongous. So that's one of the ways we need to manage it. How about credit management? So these are decisions regarding how much credit is obtained to support our spending, and also source of credit use. Again, that's another way that we also shoot ourselves in the foot by not taking cognizance of. In the last 2 weeks, I've gotten banks called me. BMO Bank called me 2 days ago, offering me a line of credit 15,000. Last week, Scotiabank called me, offered me 27,000. I said, no, thank you so much. In this COVID, guys, what do you need there? But they know you're going to take it and then put yourself in trouble. And that's the way they want you to act. Next slide, please. All right. So just to let you see how we mismanage and don't manage our finances well, and how we tend to waste our money. If we have, so on the left-hand side, we have use of credit. Okay, so let's assume we have a credit card and we want to use it. Now, out of let's say we have 100% of our income, our spending would take maybe 60%. Credit card payment would take maybe about 30%. And then the top bit is up to 10%. So only we're saving 10% of our income. So if you look at it carefully, if we say 30 here for payment of credit card and the spending, let's say 60. So which means if it's at 60 plus 30, that's 90% of our income that's going to purchases, to spending. Only save 10% to savings. Not very good, right? However, if we good without credit, we're able to see how much are we really saving. Yes, you can save 40% without use of credit, 40%, and then spending 60%. I mean, if you look at these two, who do you think will be securing the life, some time to come? Who do you think will be securing the life? And don't forget, if you stay on the left-hand side, the debt, particularly the credit card, will be mounting, will be going up and up and up. It will never go down. They go, why did you get in the credit in the first instance? Because of shortfall in income. Do you think it will ease off? The answer is no. Who anticipated there would be a COVID last year, run to this year, and we don't know what's going to happen? There's a new variant, Delta. We don't know how far that will go. Yeah. So basically, this is what we need to bear in mind when talking about managing savings. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. So with the credit, this is how it affects us. Okay. The more the credit score is good, and I'll be showing you the credit score in a minute, the better it is, the more competitive, the more good we are as a customer to banks. So when we talk about credit history, for example, we say represent the, it's first and foremost the instrument used for credit cards, retail cards, and all to assess if you're personally good to get this loan. So a favorable credit history will be established by paying your bill in a timely manner. Okay, let me just give you a brief example here. How do you maintain good history? I mean, for those of you who are in Ontario, and if you have either FIDO or what is the second one? FIDO, or what's it called? The FIDO is owned by which company? I forgot the name. Rogers.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly. Yes, they are the same. In case you don't know, if you miss your payment, let's assume your bill is today, and they tell you the cutoff date is to pay the bill is 10th of a month. If you're late by 1 day, say on the 11th you didn't make the payment, guess what? That information gets sent to credit bureau, and be showing on your credit score that you are owing, that you are late with the payment. So how can you do it? If you know what your payment will be in a particular, this is what I do. I know how much my bill is. It's only once a month. So I just simply pay the amount before the bill comes. So my bill will be showing negative because they already gotten the money upfront. And so a couple of days down, they release the amount, the bill, and it will come zero. If I check my credit score, it'll be showing zero. That's what you want to know. And how much is the amount? It's so small, but the little amount that is showing on your bill can be a big damage to your credit score. So these are the things. These are very, very, very minute, very, very small. I have a client I was talking to. She had $800 bill on the credit card, and think, well, I can pay bit by bit. I say, well, according to credit card, people that give you the credit, they see $800 to be very small amount. So they expect you to pay that in full, not something you can break. Yes, I know you can pay the minimum payment over a period of time, but no, that will affect your credit score. Pay it off right away, and you see your credit score going up. And that's exactly what she did, and the credit score went up. So there you go. So bits and pieces. That's how. But why do you need the credit score anyway? We'll come back to that later. So when we do your report, what exactly are they looking? They provide a bureau that comment of person's credit payment history. So in terms of, are you the type that pays your bill on time? And if you don't pay on time, how many days typically are you late? Is your bill usually in delinquency? Is it the regulatory and stuff like that? These are things that they watch out, and it'll be showing. And in fact, another thing you probably don't know is this: if you are a later payer, in terms of your bill, then your service provider will be running inquiries about you regularly, and every inquiry they make about you, you drop a point. So your point drops as they make the inquiry about you. So whether you like it or not, so the best thing is not to be late in your bill payment. If you can avoid it, don't have any bill at all, and so there'll be no inquiry about you, and then your credit score will be impacted. So again, let me just tell you two main credit bureaus. We have the Equifax, and then we have the TransUnion. That most banks or most institutions use. I know Home Depot use TransUnion, and those are the main ones. Okay, so what are the information provided or contained by this credit information? So your personal information, i.e., your name, your address, birth date, and stuff like that. Institution number will be there. Consumer statement, places where you have accounts with, or who are your service providers, and what are the bills, what are the balances you have in each of them. Summary of all your accounts, your account history, bank information regarding account closure for derogatory reasons. I mean, you don't pay your bills, okay, it goes there. Or if you go into delinquency, is one of it. Delinquency means a situation whereby you don't pay, and so you miss 1 or 2 payments continuously, then it says going to delinquency, and that typically get reported. And you see, if you read your credit history, you'll be seeing it regularly. Also, you have the public information bankruptcies, judgment secure on loans. That's if you're in that situation. Equally, limit of the creditors who have made inquiry. So if you have Rogers, for example, or if you have Fido, regularly, if you are the type who miss payment, who miss your bill cycle, they'll be making inquiries about you all the time. And each time they make this inquiry, they destroy your credit score. So bear that in mind. And also list of the credit, creditor side contacts. Okay, so you have it on your score. So the score itself, it's a rating that indicates a person's credit worthiness. Okay, credit worthiness. That's i.e., are you the type that can be relied upon? That if we give you this advance this credit to you, you will you meet the terms and condition of the credit granted, i.e., paying your bills on time, or even paying everything, when the bill is given. Equally, your creditors also rely on this score to help them determine whether to extend a loan, and also they actually use it to determine the kind of interest rate to be given to you. So if your credit score is bad, definitely your interest rate will be higher. And if your credit score is good, you can negotiate. You can actually tell them that you want to close your account, you're going elsewhere. And then they'll be begging you to say, okay, what interest rate would you want? You have that, you can control that because your credit score is going. Why are they calling me? 2 days ago, BMO Bank called me. Is there anything we can do for you? We have 15,000 pre-approved. I said, thank you, please close it. I have one of my students call me once. Okay, one of my students who works for BMO Bank credit card, say, can we increase your credit card limit? I said, no, thank you. Just leave it the way it is. Because the person knows me, she called me. I said, no, I don't want it. Yeah, just leave it like that. You understand? So basically, it's because the credit is good. So that's why they be, but let's assume the person who doesn't have a good credit, or the score is low. You think they want you? The answer is no. I don't even think because they gave you, they offered you, therefore you must take it. If you don't have any particular business to do with it, and you're not taking credit card just for spending, no. If you have business opportunity, by all means use it, right? That's the way to use, free cash to do business, earn money, pay it back, and then your credit will be good. So basically that's how to do. So your credit will affect, these are some of the factors, your payment history, credit utilization. Now, when you talk about credit utilization, this is very important. If you have a credit card that has $5,000, balance on it, and if you spend up to $2,500, 50%. So if it's going to 3,000 out of 5,000, so it means you spend 60%. 2 ways you can do it. Either you pay it down, so it's no more than 50%, or you approach, at that time you still have your good credit, approach your creditors, tell them to increase it for you. So that way the ratio of what you owe and the balance is below 50%. Ensure you are below 50%. That way you don't hit your credit score. This is from experience. I've spoken to many financial advisors, and that's the way they determine the credit. Okay, lending relationship with your creditors, and also type of credit established. Okay, and recent credit inquiries that they make for you. So this is the things that they take into consideration, cognizance of all this when granting. So they look at your payment history, which typically is about 35% of the information they look at, and also the amount of credit owing, how much you're owing. We got the total debt, scheme. Then we look at the length of your credit history, the type of credit used, and also the search, and also acquiring new credit. Are you the type who keep amassing credit cards? It's not a good idea unless you're doing business with it. So in this case, you can write it off as business expense. If these credit cards are accumulated for personal use only, then you are killing yourself and you're destroying your credit, your ability to get this credit when you do need it in critical time. So always think about that. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is just an example of where people stand in terms of credit score. Not many people and 850 plus. That's the excellent one. Excellent. If you are 850 and above, you're good. 900 is maximum, by the way. And then between 800 and 850, that's excellent. 750, 799, that's good. And then anything below this, 700 to 749 is fair. And then the rest, they be thinking, are you the type to be granted, credit and stuff like that? And you're not, you're not, a good, customer to be even taken into consideration at the time. So again, this is what you need to look out for. Next slide, please. So now, your credit information reports should be reviewed regularly. I cannot overemphasize this, and the reason for this is not far-fetched. These are some of the benefits why you should do that. You should review. First and foremost, you review it for accuracy to ensure that everything written on your behalf is accurate. Okay, and I tell the reason why I'm saying that. Sometimes we do have identity theft. I'm not sure you heard of this before. There's something called identity theft that people will typically use all your information and to apply for credit. I've been a victim before myself. Okay, it was Home Depot Consumer Credit. The individual used my name to apply $5,000, and they maxed the entire amount. And then they called me that I owed them. I said no, I don't have a Home Depot credit card. They searched. We have to call the police. The police investigated. The head office in the States, they did the investigation before they realized that I wasn't the person who got that car. Anyway, at the end of the day, they waived it and then they cleared my name. But if I didn't check my credit information, credit bureau, I wouldn't have known. Okay, until that I saw it and I called them. I said, hey, I didn't do all this. So they reviewed it. So it's your responsibility to check that. And one of the ways you can do it, if you do online banking, have all these banks, they have it there for you for free, actually. Okay, I bank with Scotiabank. I know I should be talking about RBC, but unfortunately, I don't have RBC. It's so bad. I'm just saying. I bank with Scotiabank, but Scotiabank is there. It's free. If you do online banking, it's right there, and it comes every month for free. You just go there, review it, make sure it's accurate, and I'll share the information how to reach them at the end of the slide. So you can call them up and ensure that everything they have on your behalf, for you, it's accurate. Equally, identify types of information that lenders or credit card companies have for you. So you need to ensure that everything that they said about you is accurate. Also, identify eliminate any deficiency. It's your responsibility. Everyone here, it's our responsibility to ensure that whatever information kept on our behalf is accurate. If not, we call them up and then deal with it. Okay. So basically, that's everything about the first segment of this. The second part was not looking at financial planning itself. So when we talk about financial planning, we're looking at a long-term spectrum of what we thought we tend to accomplish in future. So I've divided our life cycle, which I call life stages. It's a life cycle, okay, PLC. It's not only product. Personal life cycle is this one, PLC, right? So we started, these are the age groups. So between 0 and 22, typically that's when people are in education. And that's when typically we establish good and savings spend habits, okay? Constant savings money into TSS, TSFA, which is tax-free savings account, and then establish credits, okay? Between 23 to 23 and 30, that's when we typically start our early career. There we follow pay yourself, principle, meaning, pay up yourself. So savings, okay? pay off a student loan if you have any, buy your furnitures for home, buy a car, consider mutual fund inside RSP. Okay, typically at that time, that's when you say, okay, do a lot of investment so that you can, get a lot of refund for reinvestment, not for spending. Get a refund for reinvestment. If you have any credit card debt, you use that RSP refund to pay it off. Okay, it's better. And then by the time you reach 31 to 49, that's where you start rearing your wealth, start, having families, so there buying homes will be the goal. Review insurance in terms of your health, life, disability, critical illness. What I was trying to remember earlier. Critical illness is just to protect against your income in case of unforeseen emergency, excuse me, health-wise. Okay, start a family. At that time, that's when it's recommended that we do RESP. RESP is a registered education savings plan for the children's, educational future education. Okay, that also help them. We continue RSP as usual. Okay, and also reduce or minimize our taxes. I also show us later on how we can reduce or maximize and minimize our taxes. Have a will, okay, on power of attorney in case of if we pass on, so that our estate can will not have extra headache while if we pass. Investigate employers based savings option. Some employers, they do 50, they do matching, they do top up. You can do top up and also match whatever the employers are doing for you. And also here is very important in our workplaces. We have two types of benefit plan. There's one called defined benefit, and there's another one called defined contribution. The difference between the two is the fact that if you have defined benefit, the risk is on the employer. So which means they use your last 3 to 5 years last pay, right? Okay, annual pay, but by the percentage, a factor given by the company, or by a number of years, and that would be the total amount of money that you'll be earning for life when you retire, if it's defined benefit. Okay, so which means the risk is on the employer. But if you have defined contribution, the risk is on the employer. So, i.e., how do you know if your employer says we have your benefit plan with say Sun Life, for example, or as long as they're not running it, particularly it's only government who does typically defined benefits, but other companies that do defined contribution. So you have to be monitoring and ensuring that you are meeting your goal as you go along, because whatever it's there at your retirement, that's what you get. So if it's defined contribution, so you need to find out which one do you have at your workplace. In case you don't know, please find out. So if you can start a business to augment your employment income. Why am I saying start a business? Business allows you to write off again for tax planning purposes, not for tax evasion, by the way. I would not tell you to do tax evasion. I would tell you to do tax planning. Why do I say so? What are some of the techniques in tax planning? If you have business, for example, and you run business from home, you're able to claim some rent, okay, part of the home if you use it for business, and then part of your utilities at home you can do it, but be careful so that because your home will be your principal main residence, which allows you to keep the entire gain you make on disposal. But if you write a lot off, then when you sell it, then you hit yourself in the foot by they ask you to come and pick up the gains. We'll talk about that later on. So those are some of the tax implications we need to bear in mind when doing it. So at age 50 to 64, that's the prime earning stage. All debt is expected to have been paid off. Okay, very important. You've paid off your debt at 64 because why? You're getting closer to your retirement age. Have tax been minimized? also adequate savings. Children's education should have been done, okay, or have enough to allow them to be able to continue. Of course, wedding, wedding bells, granny and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the type, 50s to 4. So you can have enough energy to play with the grandkids. All right. So elder care should be something you also need to think about. So that's at age 50 to 64. Going to early retirement at 65, 74. That's when the reality stats kicks in. It tells you, so when we talk about reality check, that's the key. That's why all the planning we're making now, it will materialize then. Because now we have all the energy to do whatever. You can do 20, 40 jobs together, okay, become machines. But when you hit 64, 65, 74, even if you want to do it, even the energy is not there. And then you're left with OAS. OAS is old age supplement. And then CPP, that's the Canadian pension plan, are the things that will kick in to support your income. Now, the RSP that you're doing today become later, so which you lock in registered account, okay, kick in, and also they transfer it. So they call it RIF, so which means all the because at that time you can no longer contribute. As long as you pass on the 4, you can't contribute to RSP anymore. So ways to reduce, to minimize your taxes, it's not there anymore. And also any RSP you have now become RIF. So register retirement investment fund, they call it at the time going forward. And also account for all assets, retirement income, disbursement pattern. So you have a whole, so the mirror that what's trying to achieve 20 years ago will now become a reality. And so this is why I typically recommend when you have which I'll be showing you in my few slides to come, when you set your goal, you need to reassess it, okay, and then so when you do it, you balance it, you rebalance it again, and I'll show you how to rebalance it. So you move them around so that by the time you get to the late age, actually from 75, you should be enjoying your all the savings or life savings you've made over the years. So we'll go back. We'll go to the next one, please. Thank you. So these are the milestones. Just this is a brief recap of what we're doing. So you've graduated at 22, and then career, early career, first job, new job, raise and stuff, family, marriage. These are things that you need to. These are all the life stages that we will be come across as we go along. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So in identifying the investment vehicles or platforms or whatever you want to call it, on the left hand side here, the grade we said investment risk appetite, and on top we have the investor's dimensional matrix, and then in between, so we have the types of investment. So as you see, I said investment risk appetite. So what type of investor are we? Are we the risk seeking? Are we the risk neutral or the averse? So if the seeker, they typically because they assume, which is the rule of thumb really, high risk, high return. So typically they want to be in a fixed income, particularly those who are between the ages of 30 and 45, because that's the time they start, having family. They need an income to augment their income. So typically the kind of investment vehicle will be bond, which will give them regular stream of income over a period of over the contract period, or mutual funds. Okay, mutual fund is just a basket of other investment products put together. Okay, it can be bond, it can be equity, and then as a seeker, they also want long term. Okay, so in equities and also for long term. Again, their investment is for growth purposes, and also they also do like real estate as well. Okay, long term. So if you're risk neutral, they all all over. Okay, they can do short term, they do medium term, and long term. And then, but when we talk about short term, typically they look at all the cash, dominated investment vehicles, i.e., T-bills, there's treasury bills, GIC is guaranteed income certificates. Okay, they're all near cash investment. They're short term in nature. And then, so you can do that, or they can do bond, which is fixed income because of the interest, the coupon, we'll call it, and then long term, which is for capital growth. But for risk averse individual, particularly the oldies, and also because they're getting closer to retirement, they need all their nesting back into cash. So they typically want to be investing between the medium term and the short term. Okay, next slide, please. And so basically, is it my hand? All right. So these are the rationale for making your decisions. So at the early stage in life, you want to put your money in the stocks, and the reason for that is for capital appreciation. As you can see, as you start today, definitely over, again, because it's at early stage, you have the longer period of time to do the investment, so it'll be going up. So between the base here, there, this one will be the capital appreciation. So it's all for capital appreciation if you do if you invest in stocks. Okay, but by the time you get to retirement age, all you want to do is to now rebalance your portfolio to now have more of your investment in the cash form. Why? Because you want access to your cash when you get into your retirement age. So basically, that's when we say rebalancing. That's what we mean. Meaning from the early stage whereby we have majority of our investment in fixed income, then getting closer to our retirement, we rebalance it and then change the combination from more towards cash-based investment vehicles. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. So in summary, these are things we take into consideration when developing our financial plan. First is to establish a SMART goal. Okay, SMART meaning it should be specific, measurable, attainable, should be realistic, and also time bound. Okay, and then this is some of the things you need to ask yourself. What is your short-term financial goal? What is the first thing you want to do? What's the medium term? What's the long term? Okay, and also having done your goal, reestablish or reassess yourself in terms of your current status. Where are you right now? Okay, so how much money do you have in savings? Also, the value of investment. What is your net worth? Your net worth will be all your asset money, all your debt, and then whatever is remaining is your net worth. Okay. Equally, you need to evaluate alternatives. While we're evaluating alternative, reason not far-fetched, we want to take the most feasible solution to address or deal with our situation, and so give goals existing, an existing financial position, that describe the previous steps and how we obtain necessary funds to achieve those financial goals. So typically, that's what we look at. Equally, we select and also implement. I don't use the word best. I say feasible, because when you say best for someone may not be best for another, but feasible in terms of the resource you have at your disposal and your capability to do it. So typically that's what it is. And so then we evaluate the plan. Again, that's the issue between balancing and rebalancing. You good to ensure that you are moving towards achieving your goals. Again, as you go along, you need to revise your plan to ensure that where you need to make amendments to your financial goals, you do that so that you can achieve your goal, the desired goal, when you get to the end, to the destination. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the credit stuff which we talked earlier, these are the information. If you're interested in knowing or setting up, and it's free, by the way, it's free. Okay, you can approach them, set up a plan, and then you can be reviewing your credit information regularly. So this Equifax, this TransUnion for Quebec, this is there's your address there. Government agencies, for privacy, that's all the information. For fraud as well, okay, you need to keep this in mind so that you don't hit yourself, okay, because these fraudulent guys, they're out there. So I need to have this how to deal with it. Okay, all right. So that's the first thing, the first area of first segment. Do we have time still? How much time do I have left? How much time do I have left, please? Okay. Okay. All right. So let me quickly go to taxes. Okay. Tax in Canada is they call it is progressive. So the more you earn, the more you pay. And why do we do taxes? Because we have something called public goods. These are goods that goods and services that individual cannot provide, i.e., all the infrastructure you see around, light, water, defense, security, police, hospitals, it's very expensive. So these places where all the tax collected, this is where they go, they fund them, okay? And everybody is required to pay taxes on all the income, both from employment and all the world income, wherever you have the money. So part of one of the question I ask is, do you have income? Do you have investment over $135,000? Okay, outside Canada. If you do have it, then you have to present it. You have to at least let the CRA know about it, so that in case you sell it, the reason for that is because of the money laundering. If you don't report it upfront, then you'll be accused of money laundering in the future. If you do sell it and you're trying to bring the money, if you don't declare it upfront. So we have different levels of taxes: the federal GST and income tax, CPP, EI. That goes to federal. For provincial, we have the PST, which is called PST, is a provincial sales tax. And then for municipal, these are the fees like property taxes, your utility bills, water rate, garbage collection, so goes to the municipal. So those are the three levels of taxes we pay in Canada. Next slide, please. All right. And when you do your taxes, the form you use to prepare is called the TDI. So the TDI determines how much tax will be withheld from your income, and then the rest is what you get. Equal, we talk about self-employed individual. They need to estimate the taxable payable. When we say self-employed, these are people who determine the nature of the job, the hours of work. They provide their own equipment, and then they decide where and when they do their work. That's typically seen self-employed. But they equally prepare or file in something on the income tax, okay, or income tax, because they are the same individual, okay? So we have T1 general, tax benefits for supporting all the documents which present to the government, okay, at the end of the year. Next slide, please. Okay, so tax are paid on capital assets, okay, capital assets. So any asset is acquired and held for purpose of generating income. Example is if you buy shares, for example, okay, so we call it equity. That will be, it's over a period of time. So you'll be generating capital gains. So capital gains, you'll be paying, capital gains tax on that one. Okay, so generally tax are paid on all assets when they are sold or gifted or transferred, or because the gifted is deemed disposal. So you pay. So tax also paid on their property. Homeowners pay property tax on the value of their home and land, and that's what we pay to the municipal, by the way. Okay, but that's different from the tax when the property is sold at the end. Now, if you want to avoid paying taxes on your properties that you own, you have to declare it on a yearly basis on your tax return as your principal main residence. That's the only time you'll be allowed not to be, or you'll be you will not be required to pay tax on the income you earn or the gain you earn on that income. But if you don't, then Sierra will be running after you. Now, a few years back, they never used to ask if you sell or home. They don't ask, but now it's now a requirement that you have to, disclose what was the value of the house when you sold it, how much did you buy it, when did you buy it. The reason why they want to see is they want to see that is this something you do on a regular basis as a business, so for flipping, so they can determine that. If they see that you stay there for a lengthy period of time before selling, then of course, are you designated as your principal main residence, then you're not going to be paying capital gains on that. Next slide, please. All right, so who pays? This is good for particularly student. You have to file your taxes by April 30th every year. Everyone needs to do that. Again, you have to pay your EI. That's employment insurance, government benefit that's also payable, for every period of time that you earn. And again, the EI benefit is that if you not lose your job, okay, then you can now claim EI. We'll also talk about working income benefits. This is to aid workers, particularly those who if you lose a job, or if this to augment your income. If you dispose property in the year, or you realize a capital gains, again, capital gains is done 50%, so less the cost to sell the asset. That's capital gains. And other ones is RSP for home buyers. Now, this is very important for particular the new people coming to Canada. If you're buying your home for the first time, if you have RSP, you can withdraw from RSP up to $25,000, okay? And it take you up to 15 years to pay it back without having to declare as income for tax purposes. So that way, you can use, what I'm saying is you can use your RSP if you're a first-time home buyer. Put it down as your home, it's a deposit for your home, okay? And you don't have to declare it because it's not going to hit your account. It goes straight to the vendor who's selling the property from whom you're buying it, and that way that income will not be recorded as an income to you. So that way, no tax will be withheld, nor will you be paying tax on it at the end of the year. You have 25 years, 15 years to pay it off. Okay, 15 years to pay it off. Equally, you can do the same thing under the lifelong learning plan. You can take 15,000, and for 10 years you can pay that back, just to augment or to assist you with the learning. So those are the two things that you can use your RSP for. And also the third is if you retire, of course, it becomes your income, or of course you have to pay your taxes at the end. Now, what are the benefits of RSP? One of it is the fact that it's a tax shield, and that's why you end up with a refund at the end of the year. So the fact that you get a refund today does not mean at the end of the day you're not going to be paying tax on those income. You will still pay in tax. You pay tax on it when you cash in, particularly when you retire. But the good thing is that they recognize the fact that at your retirement age, your income will be lower, and as such, the tax that will be attracted to that particular income will be much more lower. That's why they're asking. So yeah, tax shield today, so you can pay in the future. But at that time, they realize that income will be much more lower, so you can pay at a lower marginal tax rate. So that's the technique about the RSP and the use. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So you may also be eligible for refund, or refundable tax. So we have, some tax credits, so which you call refundable. Particularly, we have the GST and HST credits for those who are eligible. Okay. Again, for it to be eligible, you must be 19 years or older. Okay, or previously had a spouse or common law partner. You are previously or were a parent. You can live with or previously with your child, then you are eligible. Again, other ones is the tax credit for tuition, but not books anymore. So you get the tuition. So again, when I talk about using your your credit card, I typically suggest that if you want to pay your tuition, you can use your credit card to pay your tuition here. Why am I saying that? If you pay your tuition with your credit card, this will benefit the student here. If you use your credit card to pay your tuition, the tuition itself has tax benefit. The interest that will be accrued with the use of the credit card, you can equally, declare that as a tax write-off, and it will reduce your tax income, and so it will give you extra benefit. So these are one of the things that you can do. You can use your credit card to pay, and also I usually recommend that you use your credit card to pay for donations. So those of you who have not paid your annual dues to CNP, use your credit card. If you don't have it, pay your donation with it, and then you can get hopefully you can get your tax receipt, and then you can claim as charitable donation. And I'll show you. So the first $200, you get 15%. I'll give you the accurate figure in a minute, and so you can save your money that way. All right. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. So taxes must be paid by 30th. And if it's for business, if you have a business, by 15th of June, you're due. So if you don't pay it, then you have 5% amount owing plus 1 day, 1% for any additional full month that you are late, okay, to a maximum of 12 months. So these are the penalties, interest and penalties that's accrued. It will also be accumulated. Now, what I suggest you do, if you have an amount owing to CRA, call them up, agree a payment plan. They will accept, they will agree, okay? They love it if you do that. Call them up, set up a payment plan. If it's $10, you can pay per month, whatever, or when you get your pay, but don't ignore it, okay? The reason why I'm saying don't ignore it is because they can garnish your income. Wherever they see any income, accrue to you, they will garnish it. And also, this and the piece of information allowed to pass across based on my information, experience. Do you know that if you have a speeding ticket, it goes to CRA as well? In case you don't know, yeah, it goes to them. And so any income that accrue to you that you're expecting, you don't pay your speeding ticket, your fine, it won't come to you. So just to let you know. Okay, I got a customer that they have $4,000. I say, well, you have a refund of $2,000. Unfortunately, you owe $4,000 to CRA for speeding ticket. You're not going to get it. He was so upset with me. I said, well, I didn't do that. Are you aware that you owe that $4,000? Yes, I'm aware. Okay, so go and pay it. so just in case you don't know. All right. So once you file in your taxes, of course, you get a notice of assessment. Just to confirm that they receive your filing, the tax filing, and then if there's any reassessment, then they'll give you a reassessment. If not, you're good to go for the year. Okay. All right. And then, of course, the notice of assessment will also determine what is the RSP contribution room for the following year. And so it's typically 13%, 8% of your gross income will be your contribution for next year. Next slide, please. All right. So in a nutshell, this is how they do the calculation. So you look at step one is to look at all your income. Okay, calculate all your total income. All right. In step one. In step two, they do all the deductions. So if you contribute to RSP, if you contribute to whatever, it will be deducted there. And then they calculate your taxable income. And of course, your the personal allowance, which is the amount that individual is entitled to from all your gross income. This year, so which is 2020, is 13,229, and next year, so meaning if you prepare a financial, do our tax for next year, it will be 13,808, and then 2022 will be 14,000, and 2023 is 15,000. So that's what it is. So when you subtract that, it gives you what we call taxable income. Okay, and then we'll take out the federal, and then they also take out the provincial, and then we now look at how much tax have you paid, and then if they deducted more taxes that you ought to have paid, then you get a refund. If you have they deducted less, lower than you ought to have paid, then it becomes amount due, so called balance due. So typically that is the tax. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so typically everybody gets this. If you work, we call it T4 slips, and then this is typically what we use to prepare the taxes, and you bring it to me, CRA. I'm sorry, the H&R Block, any tax software will be able to do this. It's pretty easy. Okay, so I just show this. All right, sure. Okay, next slide, please. I'm almost done. Okay, so who are self-employed? It means you have control over your work. You control. When you work. How you work, you provide your tools, and again for business. So you are seen as self-employed, and you have to contribute both your CPP and EI. Both the employer, which is you, and then the employee part. So you have to do that. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So these are the income sources, and these are the amount taxed. So your income, for employment is 100% tax, minus your personal allowance. Your interest income equal 100% taxed. Capital gains. So if you have like have real estate and you have multiple of those, guess what? You pay 50% of your income of gain made. So which means you're better off to have investment on capital gains, like real estate, for example, because income is 50% tax. And out of that 50%, they will still deduct any expenses incurred in disposing of those assets. So if you really want to save money, that's where you want to, this is tax planning. That's where this is a kind of investment you should. If you do interest, everything is taxed. Everything, every income is taxed. Dividend, same thing. Rental income, same thing. RSP, of course, I told you these are the amounts you can withdraw, and how you pay back. Scholarship is non-taxable. RESP non-taxable. TSFA non-taxable. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So these are all the allowed deductions. Pension plan, RSP, childcare support. And the registered pension plan. And also RRSP as well. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. So for refundable taxes, you have GST, HST, CPP overpayment if you overpaid, EI overpayment, climate action. I don't think you have it in Ontario, but we have it out west here. Eligible educator, if you're a teacher, for example, you can claim some expense that relate to your teaching. Okay, it's $1,000 per year. For non-taxable, refundable credits, you have personal allowance. I've given you the amounts, home buyer amount. So every individual, if you're buying home for the first time, you are eligible for $5,000. If you're buying home for the first time, you're eligible for $5,000. If you're a couple buying it, you're only eligible for $5,000 per a property. You can now split it anyhow you like it, as long as it's not more than $5,000. Caregiver, if you have an aged parent you're looking after, you can claim caregiver amount, okay, for your grandparents. For pension income, that's amount you can claim, $2,000 for your pension. Tuition is a good way to reduce your taxes. You can claim the credits. Medical expense as well, okay, it's 3% of your gross income. As long as, if it's low, anything above your 3% of gross income, you can take it as a tax write-off. Charitable donation, so as I said, 15% for the first $200, 15% is what you get, 29% on the remaining balance. So donate generously to our CNP. So these are all the benefits. It's good to donate. It doesn't make you to be poor. All right. For political party donations, the first $400, 75% is what you save. Is tax return savings, and also 50%, 350, and then 30% for the remaining balance. Okay, so these are all the non-refundable tax credit, on your taxes. All right, next slide, please. Right, so after filing your taxes, keep all the documents, okay, because they can ask you to provide it. These are all the strategies: dividend gain, capital gain registered, tax-free, maximize your RSP contribution, use of the tax credit. These are all the ways to reduce, which we call tax planning strategies. Okay, all right. Next slide, so I can start taking questions. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's the whole material.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wealth of information. You touched on so many things. Like you talked about credit management and its importance, as well as the maintenance of credit. You talked about having emergency funds for in case cases like COVID, God forbid, it happens again. You have that savings to draw from to help you sustain. You also talked about the importance of checking your credit history with the credit bureau to make sure nothing fraudulent is happening. You touched on financial planning and the life stages such as early careers, family, early and late retirement. You touched on the rationale of investing and the importance of rebalancing as you go on with your investments. You also talked about how students should also be doing tax returns. My mother always said this: she loves paying taxes, right? Because the tax returns always comes back, right? So she's an advocate of paying taxes.
Good.
Thank you so much for that wealth of information. I'm sure I'm going to need to rewatch this again to continue my notes.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. It is now time for Q&A, questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please raise your hands or type it in the chat. Mr. Laminde, please, the floor is yours. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great training, very informative. Thank you, Dr. Abioye. And thank you also, CNP. It's a great initiative. It's an excellent topic. The reason why nobody teaches at school how money works. You can spend 40 years at school. You can be a medical doctor, a lawyer, teacher, but they don't teach you how money works. And it's very important. It's an important aspect, like you show it today, Dr. Abioye. It's an important aspect of life. It's why, most of us, including me, sometimes we fail. We made a mistake, and it's too late sometimes, and sometimes you can catch up. In my case, to be honest, I catch up a little because I did a little bit finance courses. So let's say even the first thing you talk about RSP, people, they don't understand RSP because they think, RSP, they don't understand RSP because, sometimes RSP is not always absolutely the good, vehicle, because it depends on the person. Sometimes you can maybe, when you retire, you might have enough income. It wasn't necessary to save for to have RSP. The reason why you have the inflation aspect. Sometimes the rate of return for the investment, is not enough, and you are paying tax on it. And the problem is taxes. You earn, they tax it. You spend, they tax it. You save, they tax it. You die, they tax. So whatever you do, they tax. And unfortunately, people, they don't understand, even about, retirement, or even you talk about the state planning. Many people, you ask them about state planning, they don't understand. They don't know, after you die, you have to pay tax. So many people, even me, a few years ago, I haven't, thought about it. It's why it's very important to teach people how money works. So, and even let's say the TFSA, it's not really tax-free saving. Maybe we can call it free capital gain tax account. Because, it's after tax. It's from your money. You pay all it. You tax, and then you take that money, you save it, and the capital gain. It's what they it is free tax. It's free of taxes. So all those things people they don't understand, and also most of us, as you said at the beginning, we don't have will. Reason why there is a religious belief, or people they think, especially when they are young, they say no, it's not for me. I'm healthy, but you never know. And if you don't have a will, you might end up having problem. After you die, the government might make a decision about who's going to have your money, your legacy. So all those things, the thing you bring today is very important, and it should be well taught in everywhere. The last thing, I don't want to monopolize the discussions. What's your thought between mutual fund and segregated fund? What do you think? Because also I know many people they never hear about segregated fund. They just talk about mutual fund.
Well, mutual fund is simply a group of investment portfolio, okay, put together, okay. But segregated fund is just like index in the sense that it mirror, okay, one is managed, one is not managed, okay. Let's put it like that. The segregated fund, you don't manage it. It's like an indirect portfolio of investments selected just to mirror those that on the index, given to the investment managers to manage. Do you get it?
Can I add something? Oh, I was under the impression that there is no big difference between mutual fund and segregated fund. The only difference, segregated fund is under life insurance umbrella.
Yes,
but
yes,
it's the same concept.
Yes.
And the main difference,
the
main difference is segregation fund. It's more, it's protecting. It's creditor protecting, and also he could be, in terms of death protecting. So, and mutual fund, it's not protected it's not protected. I think it's the main difference. But again, people they don't know about, we don't teach about money, and it's why, unfortunately, we don't think about those things.
I can tell you the WFG will give you more. I'm not into that. I just tell you what you need to do, but the WFG will tell you these are the products you buy, these are the want to buy. I don't sell. They will not look as if I'm coming to sell anything. I just tell you this is what you should do. That's it. Like I said earlier from the beginning.
If I may just add to that, I was just going to say that Dr. Oye is not here to actually talk about products. Is here to talk to educate us about personal finance. So if we want to talk about products, we'll bring somebody from the bank or from other financial institutions to come and talk to us. And he did mention something around when you want to invest, you need to understand your risk appetite. Your risk appetite will determine where you're actually investing your funds in. But my question to you, sir, is that you talked about life stages. You talked about, 0 to 22, you graduated, and so on and so forth. What about new immigrants that come to Canada at the age of, over 30, and they have to start from the beginning? What advice do you give to them? Because it's like we're racing against time now.
That's true.
We've left everything we know back home. We're now here and we're starting rock bottom. Most people, 99%, maybe 1% gets the kind of position they were at home here in Canada. So what advice do you give them in terms of, understanding personal savings and where to start?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good one. Well, the first thing I will say is, first and foremost, you need to re-educate yourself. That's very important. And then when you re-educate yourself, you're not wasting time. Why you're doing that is to be able to know, okay, This is what I'm qualified for. This is what I can do, and this is my worth. Let me give you an example. When I first came, even though I have a master's degree before I came to Canada, the first job I got was as a sales rep. I got a sales job, 2 jobs I got one day. I got sales rep to sell water. The second one, best job, was to work at the HBC, Hudson Bay, as sales associate. Those were the best job I got. Until later, I said, no, I have to go back to school, finish my PhD. And then it was at the end of finishing my PhD that I started to start teaching. So, you understand? But the beauty of it is the fact that as I was studying, all those amount I paid towards tuition, I was able to write off on my taxes. I got those back to continue to fund my education, and that's where I am today. And as such, we take a step at a time. Okay, we don't rush into buying a house, because if you get into Canada today and you go and get if I'd stayed in my selling of college and then working at the Bay, yes, I'll be making some money, or I'll be making some subsistence money just to pay my bills and pay my bills only. Forget about, there's no money, no money left for investment. And then at the end of the day, for how long will I continue? You understand? So now when students are in school, that's when I'm working. When students are on vacation, I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation now from June all the way to September. I can go anywhere. My money is going, no problem. That's the kind of life. So you live younger forever. And that's what it is. That's the benefit of if you if you re-educate yourself, so you can start, it's never too late to learn. I've gotten an 80-year-old man who's retired and came back to Sheridan College to come and retrain. I taught him, Mr. Chen, 80 years old. He was the oldest person I've ever taught in my life. Yes. So back to what you said, retrain yourself so they can get the qualification which will allow you to get to where you want to, you get to worth. That's my advice.
Thank you for that, sir. Especially touched on the aspect of retraining and how even without the standards here and back home might not even be the same. So thank you for that point. Ms. Patience, your hand is up.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. You actually for that you went in a route that is not too common. And I particularly appreciate when you talked about credit utilization as it affects one's credit history. That is something you don't get to hear. Even when we discuss with our clients, you have to get a certain level before we bring it down. So, and it's great because one problem I've seen, you said, Mr. Lamy said something that nobody teaches us finance at school. Nobody teaches you how to spend or save or build credit in school. So financial literacy is one thing I believe we need to equip our people, especially our youths, for them to become strong financially. Because when you have financial knowledge, you know how to make financial decisions that will affect you and people behind you. So I would appreciate if you can throw more light on credit utilization. That 50-60% is very important. Please throw more light, especially for the sake of our youths and the new immigrants, so that they will know how they can use their credit and not go into debt forever.
Okay. Thank you so much, madam. Well, what I was saying there was that when you get particularly newcomer into the country, if you get here, you can walk to the bank and say, I want to establish a credit. The first thing they would do for you is say, okay, maybe when I started, that's what I started. It gave me $500. Okay, $500. So I use it. When I use it, I paid off. Use it, paid off. So which means I'm having an established credit behavior that I don't wait till it passed due before I make my payment. So along the line, they said, okay, I'm due for a raise. They raised it to $5,000. So back to your question. So if I have $5,000 credit limit, that's the maximum I'm allowed to spend based on my credit, right? On my card. If I spend $2,500 out of $5,000, the next payment will be 3% of that. Okay. Now, I've gone 50% of the credit limit. That if I let it wait, it will affect my credit score, particularly if I miss a payment. But if I don't want that to affect me, rather than, because once I'm almost getting to 5,000, they will add 1,000 on top. When I'm almost getting to 6,000, they add 1,000 on top. When I'm almost getting 7,000, they add it. So they be adding it, adding it. You understand? But as they adding it, your credit score is also going down at the same time. But what I'm saying is, once you get to 50%, either you pay it down, okay, so that you keep your credit score high, or you can ask them to increase the limit because your credit score is still good. So instead of 5,000, you'd be 6,000, and you're 5,000, 2,500, or 3,000. So you still have like room of $500 to play with to get to 50%. But always ensure that you are 50% or below. You understand? So how are you going to do it? Either you pay it off or you ask for a credit increase, so that the ratio, look at the ratio of your limit and your debt. That's what they're looking for. I hope that's.
I just want to add to that. I've had a lot of new immigrants, not necessarily Nigerians only, ask that if they don't want me to spend all the money, why are they giving me that limit? So now new immigrants, the minimum the banks will give them is 2,000. So they give you 2,000, you spend all the 2,000, and you wonder why your credit is not moving. Your credit is not moving because the banks and the financial institutions are looking at you and saying that you're actually supplementing your everyday living with credit. It means you don't have cash flow. That's basically what it is. And when you don't have cash flow and you're living on credit, they won't trust you. You have to maintain a certain limit to be able to get more money. And that's why when you spend your credit card, you really are supposed to pay it off. When you don't pay it off, the interest you pay at the end of the day to the financial institutions is humongous. And you are the loser at the end of the day.
You see, that's the bank thinking and telling you. I can tell you the figure. Yes.
So So it's really important to manage your credit. Don't max it. Don't go over the limit. So that you can maintain your credit properly.
I think there's some question on the chat. I have one from Omotaya Adedeji. I don't know if anyone is taking her there. So you just answer that. She's asked, could you please give me more information for tax refund of 5,000 for first-time home buyer? Yes, if it's first-time home buyer, you are eligible. But it has to be your principal main residence, which you have to declare on your T1 general when you're filing your taxes. If you have not done that, if you bought it and you can actually refile. You can do what do you call it? You can change your taxes by doing. You can, if you have a my CRA account, you say refile. You can refile it, and then you can do the adjustment. So file an adjustment, and then you can claim that $5,000. If you bought it with your couple and with your husband, so which means a joint purchase, the two of you will be sharing the 2,500. Or if it's on one person, that person, but it cannot be more than 5,000 per property. I hope that's clear.
Another question within the chat asks, what's the best saving method you recommend for students?
The best method, like I said, if you have a credit card, use a credit card to pay your tuition, and then when you get your refund, use that to pay off. And that way, if you have any cash available, you can invest in something else, maybe an RSP. Okay, so if I have $5,000 and I have $2,000, in tuition to pay, I'll use my credit card to pay my tuition. Any interest, I can claim it on my tax return, and then the 2,000 there from the 5,000 I invested in RSP. That will usually give me a credit, which I can use towards reducing, because 2,000 that you put in RSP is tax shielded from any income you earn. That means it's deemed that you don't earn that income, and that is amount of, tax you come from for a refund for you. So that's the way it works. So I'll give you an example. If your tax supposed to be 2,000 and your income is 5,000, you put 2,000 to RSP. That income will be subtracted from your general income, and that means you should be paying lower taxes than you would be paying if you had not put any amount on an RSP. I hope I didn't confuse you too much.
Thank you, sir. Another question states, does someone who pays school fees through OSAP claim tax refunds for tuition?
OSAP is a loan, so you can claim. Well, first and foremost, you have to finish your school. The studies must be completed, and then there's a percentage which OSAP will give you, okay, as a write-off, just to recognize that you finish your education. That's number one. Any interest that you pay on OSAP is something you can claim on your tax return. Okay, any interest you pay on your OSAP, you can claim it. You can write off on your tax return. Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. Mr. Eddie Adebote, your hand is raised. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We can't hear you.
Lifelong level.
Mr. Eddie, you're cutting in and out.
Hosting this? Can you?
Yes,
cutting in and out. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you
Can
now.
you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. I was just thanking Dr. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Abioye and CNP for hosting this. And I would say it's a long life learning. I have a question, and I think you alluded to it, but glided over it as well, in terms of when the question was asked about new immigrants and what advice you have for them. You mentioned something about maybe not necessarily important for them to look at buying a home early. I wanted to know what your thoughts are about that, and if you could double click on that and give us what you are thinking in terms of what do they need to do as a blueprint that helps them to be better off, and then to also speed up the fact that they are starting all over again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the reason why I said not to buy home, if you have the income and you have enough revenue to be paying the mortgage without having to kill yourself by overworking yourself, because what's the benefit? You invest your money and you're not healthy to enjoy the benefit of your investment. It doesn't make any sense. But what can you do to still achieve the same thing, be active, be healthy, and enjoy your life investment? That's the point I'm making, which is when I said, if you need to re-educate yourself, recertify yourself, get that out of the way. Because if you don't do that, and you end up picking up, some jobs which merely allow you to live subsistently, i.e., be just able to pay your bills. That's it. There's no money set aside for vacation. There's no money set aside for other things you would like to do, emergency purposes and stuff like that. All you end up is you have a lot of your income, like I gave you earlier in the chart, 60% to 90% on expenses, on debt, possibly 10%. As opposed to if you recertify yourself, take your time, plan it, get enough income to be able to pay for the mortgage, so you don't have to kill yourself just because you want to buy a home. You understand? Because if you buy a home and you can't sleep in it, what's the benefit of buying a home? Why not rent a little place? Get yourself recertified if you have to. Get a proper job which allows you to earn. Because look, If you earn $100 and $70 of that or $80 of that is going towards mortgage, you only got $20, $10 left. How much are you going to live with that? What about if you're sick? How are you going to pay the mortgage? But if you have a good paying job that's secure, that gives you that leeway, rest of mind, don't forget, when you have enough money, even if you're sick, the rate at which you recover is much higher. If you're sick and money is not coming, that sickness will kill you if you don't have enough income to maintain it. It's as simple as that. That's why I'm saying that. I hope I'm clear. If you have money, of course, buy your home. If you want to buy cash down, which I don't suggest anyway, don't buy your home. Use bank money to buy properties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope he answered your question. Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Oye. The next person whose hand is raised.
Yeah.
Yes. So the floor is yours.
Hi, Dr. Oye. Many thanks and for the time, and of course to CNP for organizing this. Actually, came in late, but I slid in at the point where you were talking about mortgage, and you were also talking about mutual segregated funds. I wrote a question, and probably I should just take it up from here. Are you suggesting that the 5K tax refund, irrespective of when we bought the house, we can actually go back in time to modify it? Is that what I hear you say? And
yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
If it's your first time home, if it's first time buying, yes, you can do that.
Okay.
You have to designate as your personal home residence, personal residence.
Oh, fantastic! So, for someone now that's having this new information, how can I confirm if I've already benefited from it or not?
Well, you have to check your tax return, check your T1 general to see if it's given to you automatically. Because sometimes, if you designate your principal residence on your tax return, it tells you, it gives to you automatically. If you do, if you don't, then you can refile and then do an adjustment, final adjustment.
All right, many thanks. I would check up that info.
Thank you so much for that. Unfortunately, we'll have to stop with the Q&A due to time. So I will now be calling on Kayla Iyase. Before I move on, actually, I just want to thank everyone for their questions. Thank you for your clarifications on certain matters, because even I had to write some notes. And thank you, Mr. Oye, Ms. Adesola, and Mr. Lemmy for adding additional information that we might have needed. Now we'll be moving on to the shout out to our sponsors, as here at CNP we believe in paying honor to whom honor is due. I'll now be calling on Kayla Iyase, who is a media volunteer at CNP of Council of Nigerian Professionals and a business development officer. She was an active member of her school and school equity and diversity club and future majority. She's passionate about working in medical field and loves volunteering. In her free time, she enjoys music and dancing. And she will be giving us the shout out to her sponsors. Over to you, Kayla.
Before I start, I would like to give a huge thanks to Mr. Oye for this informative and eye-opening session on personal finance. Now I'm going to shout out our wonderful sponsors who could make this happen. First, I'm going to start off with Deborah Ojo, who is a sales representative for Remax. If you need any help with real estate or you're looking to buy a home, you can reach out to her. Next, Emmanuel Onabanjo with Team Honda. If you need to buy any cars, if you're interested in cars, you can reach out to him and he'll be able to help. Next, Oye Abioye, the man who hosted this wonderful session. He is an independent financial advisor. He can help you with your personal finance and all things related to finance. Next, Miss Esther with Abraham Realty, another real estate agent. If you need to buy a house, sell a house, you can go to her. Next, Right at Home with Yemisi Aladesua. If you need to buy or sell any house, she can be there to help. Then we have SCA Biz Solutions Incorporated. You need any help with business, you're interested in business, you can go to them. Next, Jane Eke with BMO Bank. Need any help with money, with banking, you can reach out to her. She'll be there to help. And we have Bose Fawehini with Thrive Relationship Coaching. She can help with marriage makeovers, with singles coaching, all kinds of relationship coaching. Next, to move on to food, we have One in Town, freshly baked goods, delicious kinds of bread, cakes, any food you need, you can go to them. And Lighthouse Foods, which serves a variety of different kinds of foods, from bread to turkey to beans, whatever you need. Then Ice Plate, which serves delicious, tasty African food, from jollof rice to stewed chicken. And next, if you're interested in taking any photos, you can go to Kizzo Pixel Photography. So you can see they take amazing photos that always capture the person in a great light. Next, Jide Oladejo for all of your legal needs. He will help you with all of your legal and business needs. And next we have Isaac Oluwagbemi, who will help you with all of your financial needs. He works with Sun Life Financial, and he is an advisor there. And Duro Akinremi with real estate. He is a sales representative. His information is there. If you need to buy or sell any houses, you can go to him. Then Folak African Foods, which serves all different kinds of African foods, Caribbean foods, and even gives hair products. Next, Ose Anebi, who's a mortgage broker, and all of your mortgage needs, you can go to him. And lastly, if you want to become one of our CNP sponsors, and if you want to be shouted out like I did just now, you can reach out to us and email us at info@cnpngo.ca, or contact our digital lead, Mohsen, and their number is right there.
Thank you so much, Kayla. And right, as you can see here are upcoming events that our Vice President covered, which is CNP Language School, which covers Igbo, Yoruba, French, Mandarin. We have the flyers. This is actually for tomorrow. This is Tales by Moonlight, and it's going to be an amazing event. It's already been closed due to you having to have registered prior, but I'm looking forward to it. This is our virtual coding class, which started last Thursday, and it is an 8 weeks. Is every Thursday at 12 p.m. to 12:30, 30 minutes of coding, just learn the basics. I will now be calling on Tife Adimidu to give the vote of thanks and closing remarks. Tife is currently attending the Ivy School of Business at Western University, where she pursues a double degree in both software engineering and business administration. She's passionate about building video games, making web apps, and business development. In her free time, she can be found hiking on the basketball courts, and she is a business development intern with Council of Nigeria Professionals. Over to you, Tife.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Before I give the vote of thanks, I just wanted to address a question I saw in the chat. So somebody asked about if the recording of this session will be shared. So you can, you may already know this, but our recordings of our sessions are available to CNP members. So if you would like to see recordings of our sessions, make sure you become a CNP member. And if you would like to be a CNP member, or you want to find out more information about how that can happen, please put your information in the chat, and then somebody will reach out to you. But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and we're ending our session today. It was a wonderful, wonderful session. I know personally, as a young person, I learned so much about how to start my financial journey in a good and responsible way. You know, I learned the importance about credit utilization and why my credit history is important. I learned how to make good investments. And, you know, as a student, I learned why it's so important to actually be paying my tuition with my credit card as opposed to just with a direct deposit. And I hope we all heard that part about, you know, if we become a CNP member, we may be able to claim that as cash back. So remember, So keep that in mind for anyone who wants to become a member. I also want to just extend a huge thank you to Dr. Oye Abioye for coming out here today and giving us all that information. I saw everyone I know everybody was taking notes and everybody was learning a lot. So just thank you so much for coming and sharing that information with us. I also want to thank everybody who came out today and really taking charge of their personal finances and taking charge of their development and really coming here with the thirst to learn and asking all those questions and being involved and participating. We appreciate you so much. But this does end the session today. Again, we have Tales by Moonlight tomorrow. If you have registered, make sure to come out. It's going to be an awesome session. I was at the drive one and I started hearing some of the story and it was so good. I'm so excited to go tomorrow. So everybody, if you are registered, make sure you come out for that. But I know it's a Saturday and we'll have things to get to. So again, just a big thank you to everyone for coming out and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.